Jonah here with Snake River Fly. Today we're going to tie the Hydro Hackle Sparkle Minnow. Here's a few examples. Today we're going to tie this gold color, kind of sucker smoke color. We also carry it in olive and black. We'll go over a few of the materials, starting with the hook. For the hook we're using a size 2 S403 Allen. Large gold cone head. Tail is going to be marabou. We're going to stack 2 colors of marabou, in this case ginger and white. The main body is made up of Hydro Hackle, which Hydro Hackle is pretty cool material, so check out the product review on the YouTube channel. Cool stuff. And then we're going to do some collar stuff with some red Senyos laser dub, some mallard flank, and some ice dub. This is a good little pattern here, fishing in the spring. Any time of year you can tie colors to match anything, but those sucker smoke colors really popular here in southeast Idaho, so we're going to do this one today. And let me get a hook in the vise and we'll get tying. Alright, we got the hook in the vise, and I've already added the cone, the large brass gold cone, along with some lead wire. I just used some 030 and cut it into 4 little strips. About the length of the hook shank, and I add that to the bottom of the hook shank in order to help keel that fly. We add some extra materials through the belly of the fly, and this helps offset that and keep that fly keeled properly. Now we're going to add in the tail. The tail is just a stacked marabou tail. For those of you that fish in Idaho, you know coffee sparkle minnow. That's what this fly is kind of modeled after. So I'm going to measure my tail to be about just over a hook shank in length. Hydro Hackle's pretty long material, so I like my tail to be a little bit longer. So I'm just going to secure that in there. And then to add a little flash in the tail, I'm going to use some of the Snake River Fly's crinkles on. This is the UV gold color. It works really well with this bug. And I'm just going to kind of add that in the tail, similar to coffee sparkle minnow, just a different material. Crystal flash would work here too, but I really like the crinkles on. They got some cool colors. Just going to trim that flash up. And then for the second color in her tail, I'm going to use some, I believe this is ginger marabou. I'm just going to match the length of that bottom tail piece and secure that in there as well. And then I'll wrap those up the body so that I don't get a big bump in the butt of my fly. Trim out the excess. I'll just secure that down. Now we're going to start into the body. Like I said before, the body's made up of Snake River Fly's Hydro Hackle. If you'd like to learn more about the material, check out the product review on the Snake River Fly YouTube page. Great material. I'll let the product review speak to that though. And what I'm doing here is I got this, I believe this is honeycomb, right? Yeah. Honeycomb Hydro Hackle, and I've cut 2 about 4-inch strands of this honeycomb color, and I'm tying it in to the bottom of the hook shank. And you'll see why I'm doing that in a second, but you'll see that Hydro Hackle kind of has this direction to it, and so I play with that direction, and this material is actually going to sit on the fly this way. So in order to play with that directional tendency of the material, I'm going to tie it in so it'll sit flowing back when the fly is completed. So there's my 2 pieces of Hydro Hackle. I'm going to make those secure. And then for the sucker smoke variation, or I guess color, the main body is this dark gold Hydro Hackle, and we'll just find the end of that and tie it in here. try to keep your tie-in points slim. It's hard tying in this much material at the back of the fly, but it really makes your fly look a lot better if you can keep that transition sort of smooth throughout the body. That's why when I tied in my light, I didn't tie it all the way to the back of where the hook bend starts, because I gave myself a little room to tie in the tail as well as this Hydro Hackle. So now I'm going to take that Hydro Hackle and just wrap it up the body. You can wrap this as dense or as sparse as you would like. I kind of like a mixture, so I'm not going to pack wraps in there super tight, but I'm going to make sure the body's covered. Continue wrapping it, just preening those fibers back. That last wrap. Take your time, make your fly look good. If you have confidence in your flies, you'll fish them better. At least I think so. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Take your time.
I'm getting a funky piece here. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to wrap this. I'm not going to bring it all the way into the back of the cone. I'm going to do a little collar. So I'll leave myself about, a hook eye. I think that's proper fly tying terms.
Hit it right on the nose.
Then I'll just trim that out once I got it secured. And kind of get things back in control here. Now what kind of makes this fly unique and makes it like the Coffee Sparkle Minnow. So I'm actually going to preen that body up, I guess down here, but up on the fly. And then those two pieces of Hydro Hackle that I tied in earlier, I'm going to pull one on each side of the belly. You can see how it kind of gives you that two-toned belly, kind of mimicking the Coffee Sparkle Minnow. And this has, you know, a fish's tooth can get in here and rip it out. It's likely. It has happened to me before. If it happens, I just cut out the belly and fish it without the belly, and it fishes just fine without the belly. But I really think that the belly adds a lot to this fly, so I try and tie it in as tight as I can. That Hydro Hackle is a really, really strong material and holds up really well. So as long as you make sure you got it secure in there, that's not going anywhere. I like to add a little bit of a gill or a throat, blood spot, whatever you want to call it. For this, I'm just using Senyo's Laser Dub in red. And I like my throat, especially with just this size 2, be relatively short, so I'll actually come in and break those dubbing fibers down to be a little bit shorter, and I'll tie it in 50-50. Make sure it's centered on the bottom of my fly, and then just fold it over. And there's our little throat. Next, I like to add in a mallard feather. This isn't necessary. Again, all of this is kind of subjective. Whatever you got, it works. The main thing about this fly is that two-toned Hydro Hackle body. But I like to add a little bit more depth into this fly, kind of give it a bulkier collar so it pushes a little bit more water. Kind of already has the taper built into it with this. So I'll tie in that mallard flank feather. Tip first, make sure it's nice and secure. Pull it up, pull my fibers back. And then I will do as many wraps as you can get out of a fiber. I mean, it is a streamer, you're not really worried about it too much. But again, make sure they're tight, not like that. There we go. Then I'm gonna make sure that butt's nice and secure. Then I'm gonna trim out the rest of that. Mallard's one of those materials you can buy a pack of it and it'll be great, and you'll have a bunch of big feathers in it. Then you'll get another pack that's all shorts. I mean, 50% of this pack is stuff that I wouldn't use for this fly personally. But lastly, to kind of cover up this thread collar that we got here, I'm going to add some ice dub. This is the UV tan color. Again, you can use any kind of dubbing. Snake River Fly's Solar Flare, also another good material for this. You could use laser dub again. Really anything. You just want like a mid-length dubbing fiber. I like a little bit of flash in it. Again, subjective to whatever you got or whatever you like. So I'm gonna card those fibers so that they're all kind of equal length, and then I'm gonna tie a veil. And the way I like my veils is I like it dominant on the top half of my fly. I like that throat to really show through. So I'm not gonna add a bunch of dubbing to the bottom of this bug. But just one wrap and that'll secure that just fine. Check my progress here. I got a little blank spot there, so I'm gonna add a little bit more to that side. Not a bunch. This collar is pretty sparse as far as the ice dub. Pinch that down in there. One wrap again, and then I'm just gonna take a few wraps to secure it down. So now I'm just gonna whip finish. Do a couple here, 3 or 4 turn whip finishes. You can see how secure my cone is from jamming the wire in the head. But that's it. Sometimes I'll take a Sharpie, I don't know where it went, and color the back darker, but this is a pretty good sucker smolt imitation. Pretty easy to tie, in my opinion, a lot easier than making a bunch of dubbing brushes to tie a coffee sparkle minnow. And Hydro Hackle comes in a ton of different colors. Again, check the product review and you'll see that. But there it is, the Hydro Hackle Sparkle Minnow. And it's got olives and blacks, and you can do anything you want. But thanks.